Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to video 178, writing an empirical research paper. My dear followers, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe to the channel and do not forget to click on bell icon so that you can get notification about my other videos that I'll upload in near future. Thank you. Writing an empirical research paper is very important because research is also very important and it provides us the reward of new knowledge, but it will be incomplete unless and until we write a research paper, a report out of it. Uh, this is also important because the process of writing forces the distillation of ideas, and in no other way will your depth of understanding be so clearly revealed. When we have difficulty in explaining a concept or thought, that may mean that our understanding is incomplete. Therefore, writing is an integral part of our research. In this video, I'm going to use this as a building block for future research writing assignments. If consultation is needed, you may follow this. There are some other tips on writing economic papers on this book website. This is very useful for the young researchers. Kindly do watch this. How to write a research proposal? Here is some introduction. After the selection of a topic, it is a good idea to write up a brief summary or a proposal. It will help us to focus on our thoughts about what we really want to do. It is important that you show it to your senior colleagues or instructors for preliminary comments, and you may write a short abstract of your proposal. It should not be longer than 500 words, and it should include introduction. There may be a concise statement of the problem. There may be comments on the information that is available with one or two key references. Then a description of the research design, which may include these 4 steps. And finally, we may show up the potential contribution of our research. Economic research reports have a standard format in which various steps of research project are discussed and the results are interpreted. The following outline is typical. It includes number 1, statement of the problem. As you know, statement of the problem is very important step in the research process. The introductory section should be non-technical and it should motivate the reader to continue reading the paper. It is also important to map out the contents of the following sections of the report. This is the first section to work on and also the last. The reader's attention must be garnered very quickly. A clear, concise, well-written introduction is a must and is arguably the most important part of the paper. So you must focus on this first of all. Then there is the review of literature. You should briefly summarize the relevant literature in the research area you have chosen, and you must clarify how your work extends our knowledge. That is, how does it contribute something new to the existing knowledge. By all means, cite the works of others who have motivated your research, but it must be brief, and you don't need to survey all the studies that have been written on this topic. Then there is the economic model. We must specify the economic model that we used and define the economic variables. We must state the model's assumption and identify hypotheses that we wish to test. Economic models can get complicated, but our task is to explain the model clearly and as briefly and simply as possible. We shouldn't use unnecessary jargon words. We may use simple terms instead of complicated ones when possible. Then there is the econometric model, and we must discuss the econometric model that corresponds to the economic model. We must make sure that we include a discussion of the variables in the model, the functional form of the model, the error assumptions, and other assumptions that we make. We may use notation that is simple as possible and do not clutter the body of the paper with long proofs and derivations that can go into a technical appendix. Then there is the data. We may describe the data that we have used as well as the sources of the data and any reservations we have about the appropriateness of the data. Then there is the estimation and inferences. Procedures describe the estimation methods we used and why they were chosen. We must explain hypothesis testing procedures and their usage, and we may indicate the software that we have used and the version, for example, Stata 11.1 or eViews 7.1 or 7.2, etc. Uh, the next step is the research, the empirical results and conclusions. We may report the parameter estimates, their interpretation, and the values of test statistics, and we can comment on their statistical significance, their relation to previous estimates, and the economic implications. And we may compare our results with some other studies, and then we may include some possible extensions and limitations of the study. Yeah, our research may raise question about the economic model, data, and the estimation techniques of the model. What future research is suggested by your findings, and how might you go about performing it? That is, your study may give some policy implications for further research. And lastly, we shouldn't forget acknowledgements. It will be appropriate to reorganize those who have commented on and contributed to our research. And this may include, say, for example, your instructor, a librarian, a typist, or a data enumerator who help you find the data, or a fellow students who read and commented on your paper, or maybe your colleagues. This is very important. Do not forget to list the references that you have used in your paper or in your report, and usually an alphabetical list of the journal we cite in our study, as well as references to the data sources we used may be given at the end of the paper or the report. In addition to these points, I must also focus on this, and I stress upon this point that most of the students, including some senior researchers, they commit this mistake that they do not proofread their paper, and this is very important because our first draft may contain a lot of typographical mistake, grammatical mistake, or some other errors and mistakes. So it is very important that we proofread the paper before submission to your instructor or to the journal. Once we have written the first draft, we may use our computer's software to spell check for the errors, for grammatical errors, for the typographical errors. This is very important. Don't submit your paper before you have finally and thoroughly proofread it. We may also ask a friend to read the paper and give us some suggestion for clarifying the prose and check our logic and conclusions. This is very important. So before you finalize to submit your paper, you may cross-check this by someone, and it is important that you may ask someone expert in the field of your research, or you may have an English teacher to read your paper thoroughly and correct for any spelling or grammatical mistakes. So before we submit our paper, we should eliminate our errors as much as possible. This is very important. And this is important because uh, our work should look good. Because if we haven't beautified it, if we haven't worked hard on it, then it may not look good. And someone just by reading the abstract or the introduction of the paper may think that this is not a good paper or not a good report. So we must work hard and we must polish it, we must make it look good. We may use a word processor and be consistent with font sizes, section headings, style of footnotes, references, and so on. This is technical. And for this, you may follow the style of the journal or the style of the working paper or whatever you are doing. Most often, software developers provide templates for term papers and theses. So we may also follow that. This is very important. A little searching for a good paper layout before beginning is a good idea. We may also look for how a good paper can be written. Typos, it means typographical mistakes, missing references, and incorrect formula can spell doom for an otherwise excellent paper. So we must correct all typographical mistakes and we must remove the missing references. We must give those references which are missing. If there are some mistakes in our formula, we can correct them. Otherwise, it could be bad. It would create a bad impression. So some do's and don'ts are also summarized nicely in this reference, and I strongly recommend that you follow this book where you can get a very good idea of what are the do's and the don'ts of um, writing a paper, in the writing of a paper. Uh, my dear followers and members, this is also very important. We shouldn't ignore this plagiarism. We must be aware of the rules of plagiarism. In our country, we have HEC rules and regulations regarding plagiarism. Keep that in view. We must not use someone else's words as if they are our own. If we are unclear about what we can and we cannot use, we can check with the style manuals listed in the next paragraph or consult your instructor. Our paper should have clearly defined sections and subsections. The equations, tables, and figures should be numbered. References and footnotes should be formatted in an acceptable manner. There is a style guide. As I mentioned earlier, there are two classic guides, style guides. You may follow it. One is the Chicago Manual of Style. Kindly do read this. And then there is a manual for writers of research papers, thesis, and dissertation. These two are very important. You may read them thoroughly so that you could write a good paper. Last but not the least, I dedicate this video to these three gentlemen who have written a very good book on principles of econometrics. Fourth edition. This video is based upon their contribution. The first one is Carter Hill of Louisiana State University. The second is William Griffith of University of Melbourne. And the third one is G.C. Lim, also of the University of Melbourne. I acknowledge their efforts in showing how we can write a good paper. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you. Have a good afternoon and see you in